Hey guys, Sean Taggy coming in today. I've decided to go on my computer on a spreadsheet today and answer a question here that I get a lot and that I myself have asked myself a while ago is should I put extra payments in my mortgage? So let's say you worked out your budget and you're like, hey, I can put an extra $100 a month onto my mortgage and pay it off a whole lot quicker and save a lot of interest. So let's go over this scenario, consider several things and different perspectives here to kind of help you see what what is occurring here. So let's say you have a loan for $150,000. You start out with that loan, and then according to the amortization, with a 3% interest rate, 30-year fixed amortized. Over time, you start paying down that principal, high interest payments at the beginning, low principal payments at the beginning. Then over time, over the years, as you can see, you start paying it down, and towards the end, you're paying mainly all principal payments and very few interest on that towards the end. So let's say you're like, well, I'm going to pay an extra $100 a month on this. So see that I'm going to be going from $77,000 in total interest I'll pay on this. By paying an extra 100, I'm going to now be paying $17,000 less in interest. You're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So let's see how quick this gets paid off. Instead of taking 30 years, it's going to take 23 years and 11 months about. So, let's just call it 24 years. So you're paying it off 6 years earlier. Now, here's the thing to consider. If you weren't, at that point in time, you just kept paying it normally, you'd have 42,000 in principal left, or let me go here and just sum all these up here, or you would have $46,163 in payments left. So you have 41,000 in principal and 46,000 in payments left. So, so that just means those last few payments, there's about $5,000 in interest left, where the rest of these payments are mainly principal payments. So let me go over that. So in scenario one, you're going to invest that $100 a month, investing it, right? Like how I'm saying that, into the mortgage payments. So you're going to pay it off in 24 years, 6 years earlier, and you've paid a total of $100 a month payments for 12 months for 24 years. You've paid your principal of $28,800. So that's a net benefit of $17,000. How I'm coming up with that is that you're going to pay, as mentioned, 46,000 in payments left, but instead you don't have to because you've paid the extra 100, right? So you're done with those payments forever. See that, minus out the initial, the money that's cost to get that. So you're getting like a net benefit or return on investment of $17,000 for a $28,000 investment. So it's like a 60% return on investment, but spread out over 24 years. So, dividing this by 24 years, it's like a 2.5% return on investment, kind of theoretically thinking about it that way. So, yeah, pretty good. But I think I could get a better return. So let's say instead of putting that $100 in the mortgage, I put that $100 into just a simple compounding investment that compounds just annually at 7%. So I put in $100, I put in $1,200 a year, $100 a month, let it grow for 24 years. We're going to wound up getting $70,319, right? So that's a lot better than that. Now, of course, we need to minus out our principal, so it's really like $41,000 I've made on that. So in scenario one, with the mortgage payments, I'm saving like $46,000. Investing it, I'm getting $70,000. So it's a net benefit of $24,000. So it's $24,000 better to just put it into something where you're growing at a 7% compounding interest. Now, as you know, I'm in real estate, turnkey real estate. I can for sure do better than that even. I know on my personal investments that I own here in Memphis, Tennessee, and properties that I own, I am getting way into the double digits, 20, 30, 40% returns plus, depending on how it works out on my returns, if you're including all the tax benefits, the principal pay down, all those benefits of real estate that I've explained. So that's the value of investing. And this is just simply thinking you're investing in the stock market, which the average return is 6-7%. So you're going to get a 139% better investment by just investing it somewhere else. Let's say you can get a 15% return somewhere else. I mean, you're going to get a way better investment putting in the 15,000 here. Let me show that. If you get a 15% return, yeah, you're going to get 1,000% better than just paying down your mortgage. So my suggestion is, and in my opinion, if you're good at investing, or at least even decently okay, you probably shouldn't be paying down your mortgage. So then people are like, well, what if my returns aren't that good, Sean? What if they're at 4%? Even at 4% return, if you just aren't really great investment, you're having a couple bad years, you're still off better. So what is that lowest minimum return? Well, it is actually surprisingly 3%, which is the interest rate on the mortgage. So as long as you know that you can get a better interest rate return on investment than the mortgage interest rate amount, you're probably better off just doing that. Okay. Now, also additional things on this. Here's also why I don't think you should put $100 a month or even $1,000 a month into your mortgage, and you should invest it instead, is that $100 you put into that mortgage is stuck in there, right? You're like, oh, well, whoopsie, 5 years later, I actually want that $5,000 or $6,000 or so what I've put in that mortgage. I want that back because I need it for something. I need it for an emergency. Well, to get that money out, that principal that you put in, those extra payments, guess what? You can't. You have to refinance the property. And to refinance, that costs like $3,000 to $5,000 in appraisal, mortgage fees, title recording fees, lender fees, all of that stuff to get this awesome mortgage. And also you would have to have good credit and income during that time. So if you run into a financial distress situation in 5 years from now and need to refinance and you have a bad credit score, you won't be able to refinance that or have the debt to income ratio, things like that. So another thing to consider, your $100 investment might be in a more liquid investment depending on your investment, right? So as you've heard about the mortgage, it's stuck. If yours was just in the stock market or something else where you can get a better investment than that interest rate, it's more liquid and therefore you can use it for distress scenarios or for an opportunity cost. What if 10 years into this, well, yeah, let's think about this. Let's say you're getting that 7% interest and you're just investing that $100. In 10 years, you have $16,000. In 15 years, you have 30. That's enough for a down payment on a house. What if you find a killer deal and use that for a down payment on a house? And then that would probably, go up into the 20%, right? Interest and things start getting better from there. So there's an opportunity cost here as well to think about with trapping your money into paying off your mortgage. Now, there are scenarios where I do suggest you pay off your mortgage. If you're later on in your years of investing and want to be less risk adverse, I do suggest you pay off your mortgage. But I would suggest just doing it strategically and thinking of that, something to consider. So next, inflation on the mortgage is fixed at today's dollar. So I'm putting $150,000 of this mortgage into here, right? Okay. And my payment is $632. Well, in especially these later years, like let's say years 15 and 20, $632 is going to be really cheap, and your rent is going to be going up on this rent. If it's a rental property, it's going to be going up. So you're just you're hedging against inflation, and the lender can't go, well, if inflation's at 3 or 4 or 5%, 632 with an interest rate. I mean, this is just some theoretical thing. Yeah, anyways, that'd be interesting to find out, what that interest is, how much inflation really has devalued the value of these mortgage payments. The lender can't go ahead and just, oh, well, because of inflation, you now owe 3% more each year. No, it's fixed forever. Anyways, that'd be an interesting video that I'll consider and make there. So you're hedging against that inflation. You're still locking in 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that interest rate. Also, if the financial distress situation, also another thing to consider is that most people, they sell their house in anywhere from 5 to 13 years. So you're making these extra payments, but really you're probably going to sell it in 5 to 13 years anyways, on average. That's the law of averages of when people sell their house. So might not be the best thing also to consider there. So those are my thoughts. Answering your question, should I put extra payments into my mortgage? I would say no. And the reason I'm saying no is because you get a way better return just investing it somewhere else. To be precise, let's see, for 24 years, let me show you what precisely that is. To be precise, it's 150% better to invest it somewhere else if you're getting a 7% interest rate, which I think if you invest in turnkeys and all that, you get better. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, if you agree or disagree with me. It'd be kind of fun to hear your thoughts on there. There are pros and cons to everything, of course. Thank you so much.